On another exciting episode of the Animation Deliberation podcast. I can use words. Just like this episode, I'm going to get a grip as we talk about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 12, Blunt Life. Blunt Knife! Right after these ads, we have no controller and I collect my thoughts.
Whew. Hopefully I can do this one without stumbling. Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for animation, deliberation, a conversation and a celebration of our favorite action animated series, yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Animation Deliberation podcast, where we take action animation and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously, as we have made very clear time and time again. I'm your host, Hurley.
And I am Andrew Rogers, and let me tell you, that might have been the most difficult rendition of me having to sing the song I think ever, because I was so in my head about like switching celebration and conversation, which I've done so many times on accident, that I was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah, there's definitely been times where, like, early you had to sing the song, and it was just like 10 minutes of me, like, cutting out, like, every wrong version,
Oh my
trying to find
gosh.
the right one.
There were some early times that I messed up that song so many times early on. I don't know
So,
how many of them ever made it.
as a behind the curtain to the listeners, there's a lot of podcasts out there where it's somebody will talk and they'll be like, "Oh, let me say that again," or "Let me try that again," to like just sound good and sound professional, depending on the context and the show and the production that they're going for. Like, it makes sense, but I don't have brain capacity for that. As you guys can see, this is like as genuine as it gets. We don't cut anything out. We don't alter anything. If we stumble, we stumble. You're here to laugh with us. You're here to laugh at us. Really don't care. This is quality content.
Quality content.
As long as our microphones are clear and we sound stupid in clear, nice audio, that's a win for us. That's a win for me. That's all.
Yes. I mean, I feel like at this point there is kind of like it's just our brand that you're going to get some inevitable slip somewhere in the podcast that one of us has to laugh about the other person doing.
Yeah,
So,
the irony of me always saying I can't talk on this medium that requires voice is like uncountable now.
well, I think it's the continuous joke that we have had ongoing that you take the most complicated part of all of our ad reads, despite being the non-native English speaker, just to see if you could do it all.
Yeah, I think I've only gotten that ad read right once
It's genuine.
in
It's
its
from the
entirety.
heart. And that's part of why I don't want to record like fresh ad reads for our stuff where we just click a button and it plays, because there's so much fun that comes from us inevitably messing something up somewhere. I don't know how much our sponsors like that, but
I mean, they
we
tell
have a
us to be
great time.
genuine and talk about our products legitimately what we actually think about it. So, do you want to give an ad read a try?
You want me to do an ad read?
No, I mean us. Like, should we just do our ad read and see how well we knock this out while we're
Knock
talking about it?
knock this out, or maybe it's going to knock us out. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, by all means, take a
I mean,
big old
because of this
swig.
product, we don't get knocked out. Because if we got dehydrated, we would knock out. And stuff like hydration is super important to us, so that we can stumble on our words but stay conscious for all of it. And the best product to do that is with Liquid IV. Because one stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. The result of an extensive R&D process to perfect the flavor and efficacy, Liquid IV combines science-backed zero-sugar technology with the brand's commitment to delicious real flavor. No artificial sweeteners, and zero sugar, with a proprietary amino acid allulose blend for a sweet taste without the calories or raised blood glucose levels you get from sugar. Contains 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness with 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks. I got it that time.
You did. That was pretty impressive. But I gotta cut you off and go for story time here, because at the top of this ad read, you said something, and it's 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water. I had someone recently. I was just happening to talk about like these sports drink kind of things, and I mentioned, "Oh, I have a sponsor. You know, you get the Liquid IV stick. It helps you with hydration, all of those other things." And they asked me, like, oh, what's in the stick? Like, how does the stick work? And I'm like, oh, well, you take it, you open it, and you pour it in. And they're like, well, what if my bottle's not big enough? And I'm like, well, it should be. It goes in all size bottles. And they're like, yeah, but what if the stick is too big? And the long story short, after having this conversation enough, they were thinking like a cinnamon stick that you
Not a
drop
packet.
in your bottle. So yeah, I feel like we should clarify in case there's anyone out there who has not experienced any of these sports drink style hydration products. The Liquid IV stick is a little packet of powder that you put in your drink, you shake it up, and then it gives you all of these wonderful benefits. But it was the funniest conversation once I got to the end of it, but I was so confused as they were trying to be like, but what if it doesn't fit in the bottle? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, is the stick a standard size? I'm like, well, A, I don't know what a standard size stick is, but B, what do you mean? It's powder. So yeah, listeners, this is a powdered drink. You put it in, it makes things taste great because they do have those flavors. They have zero sugars, they have all the things in it. And then on top of that, unlike most actual sticks, it's going to be non GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. And on top of that, it's not just good for you, it's good for your body. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50 plus countries around the world.
And I can't stress enough, like I said, I've been using this product since before we had this ad reads for them. And the immune support one is very helpful. As we know, a lot of people are getting strep, flu, cold, COVID. It's that time of the year. People are getting sick. It's getting chillier. So please make sure that your vitamin C intake is good and that your immune system is nice and strong. Because as much as we would love for you to just be sitting on the couch and binging us, we want you to be healthy and just be on the road or at work or whatever and just be doing your day to day life when you listen to us. So do that and get 20% off when you grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiply Sugar Free or any other variant at liquidiv.com and use code STAYWHELMED at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code STAYWHELMED at liquidiv.com.
And as always, thank you for supporting the brands that have decided to support animation deliberation.
Yeah.
Sometimes I listen to myself as we go through these ad reads, and I'm like, oh, that's the podcast voice thing that everyone talks about, that there is just that sudden change as I'm
Yeah.
going directly for it.
Some people don't know that I have like ad partners. They just think I'm a dude that, has a podcast for like 10 listeners when we actually get about 13,000 downloads around the world a month. I think those are our
Whoa.
numbers right now.
Oh, a month, maybe. Okay, I
Yeah,
thought you
a
were
month.
saying 13,000 a week. I was like, boy, that'd
No,
be
no, no,
paying
no,
my
no, no.
rent at
A
that point.
month with like all of our stuff, and we haven't been having as many episodes a week, so I'm sure that, but we are like above 10K, right? So it's like we have a decent
Yeah.
follower, and like the people in my community and stuff are just like, oh yeah, this guy does a podcast. So sometimes like it'll come up, and it'll be like, oh yeah, I'm so thirsty and this and that, and like in my full podcast voice, I go like, hey, you can get some Liquid IV for 20% off when you use my code Stay Well, and they're just like, hell, hey, you do a really good job at like commercials and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I do it for the podcast like twice a week. And they're just like, wait, your podcast is that popular? And we're just like, yeah.
Yeah, we do
Get
a
around.
decent job. I like to think we're pretty okay at this, but yeah, it's always fun to be exposed to that because like no one walking down the street looks at you and thinks like, ah, you do a podcast. Like that's not a
Yeah.
it's not a thing. I think the only person I would look at and be like, I know is like Matt Mercer. That'd be the only person I'd be like, ah, this guy, I got him. Everybody else, I know your voice, but I probably wouldn't know your face if I saw you walking down the street.
Yeah.
Especially in Los Angeles, I feel like everybody's got a podcast out here, so nobody's that surprised when I say it. But we're beating around the bush. We have a
We haven't said anything about
we
this
haven't said
episode
we have
except
said
the name,
zero things.
which I butchered at the beginning too.
If this is your first episode and you're still here, thank you.
Oh
Um,
man, that's funny.
oh my god. Yep.
We're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, this is why we talked about like we don't cut things out, we don't script this. This
This
just
is our weekly
happens.
check-in for Jujutsu Kaisen.
This is a weekly check-in for Zuhair and Andrew where we happen to talk about anime is basically what just happened here. It's been 1 week, listeners, and it's been one heck of a week.
Should I
But
redeem myself by reading the synopsis? Let me just get my words back.
If you want to do the synopsis, it's usually my thing, but I will kick back and have a delicious drink here and try not to laugh when you stumble over things.
That means you need to have your insightful thing ready for when I'm done reading.
Da, da, da. Okay.
Hand gestures that no one can see. All right. Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 2, Episode 12, Blunt Knife. Nanami discovers Ichiji's bloody body and escorts him to safety. Yuji and Megumi destroy the veil, trapping the sorcerers in the city. However, the veils trapping Gojo and the civilians remain active. They then rescue an unconscious Ino after he's dropped from the central tower. Megumi goes to take him to safety while Yuji runs off to reconvene with Nanami. Meanwhile, despite the seance only supposed to copy the deceased body, the soul of Toji is able to completely usurp? Usurp?
Usurp is correct.
Okay. Usurp the grandson's body and, under her orders to kill all sorcerers, promptly kills the grandmother too. Ha. Elsewhere, Nobara and Nita split up from Maki and Naobito Zenin when they are confronted by Haruta. Nobara attempts to fight to allow Nita to escape, but thanks to his technique, is able to completely evade every attack, seriously injuring both of them. Before he can kill Nita, Nanami arrives, resisting every one of his attacks and brutally defeating him. He tells the two to wait and rest while he heads down to back up the Zenins. In the subway, Meimei and Wiwi encounter a pseudo ghetto who unleashes a smallpox deity, curse spirit, to keep them busy. At the same time, Yuji runs into Choso, who immediately begins to fight to avenge his brothers.
So this episode, I'm just going to say it, this is my big insightful thing. This episode is how you do it. We got exposition, we got action, we got all sorts of things. I think this episode was beautifully structured. I don't know if it was necessarily the most impactful or anything like that, but the structure was just so good in terms of giving me like everything that we would want. Because, like, yeah, we just talked about a lot of things, but some of it was just straight up action. Some of it was just straight up like gasping moments. I thoroughly think this is one of the best structured and directed episodes that they have had, without a doubt, and we barely saw some of our main characters. It was basically all side characters, although I would argue at this point, fan favorite character Nanami is about to become a main character, I feel.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Whoever directed this episode needs to do the rest, and if he has been doing some past ones, then I'm glad it took you 12 episodes to get together. It was consistent. There was good reiterations of stuff that they had told us and reminded us how it works. There was good explanation of new stuff. There was good action. There was good intensity. There was good story building. Like, as you said, and my weekly text from Jillian said, like, everything and nothing happened in this episode, and I loved it.
Yes.
I have said in the past that I still feel like the show is a better binge than it is a weekly watch, but obviously you guys watch it weekly so that you can listen to us weekly, so we thank you for that.
Thank
We know
you.
that's the only reason. And it really is doing a great job now. Like, I'm genuinely looking forward to next week. I'm still
Oh, yeah.
keeping my bar tempered because of how it's been treating me early on. I forgive, not forget. And it's doing a really good job. And one of the big highlights of this one is when they were giving, actually no, I'm going to get to that part later. The best part of this episode is them establishing what a grade A sorcerer is. Again, they take a lot of stuff from Naruto that I like and are just kind of
Mm-hmm.
expanding onto that here. And one of the stuff in Naruto is the rank. So it's like, what does it mean to be a Jonin? What does it mean to be Anbu, and setting the standard for that? So for us to have an opportunity to see, is it Nobara? Yeah, Nobara
Yes.
struggle with a higher rank curse, which I had my problems with that too, and to see them add the standard to what Nanami can provide and perfectly segue that into what Meimei's about to do
Yes.
was awesome. Because at one point, I wanted to see so much of the Toji stuff, I didn't care what was happening with Meimei. But
Yes.
the way that they transitioned that was just so well done and beautiful that I was like, okay, you are balancing these stories well enough that I give you permission to continue, even though my saying has nothing to do with how you proceed from here.
Yeah, this show does not have a power creep problem yet. I'm not going
Also,
to
I
say
caught
that.
one timestamp.
I have my calendar ready to go, so I'm all set to go with those notes. But yeah, a lot of shows we talk about, like the Dragon Balls and like Black Clover, Hunter x Hunter. There's all these shows that like you get the characters like have a struggle to defeat this villain in season one, and then like that villain or someone equal to them comes back in season two and they absolutely destroy them, and it's just like, oh, they're that much powerful, or they're that much weaker now. Like you get those imbalances, whereas this show, like you said, just did a beautiful job of showing exactly where everyone's at, keeping those ranks together and making sure we know exactly how they should be functioning. So yeah, over the top. I do feel like I need to be a voice of the people on this one, though, and disagree with you that that was not the best part of the episode. The best part of the episode was Nanami's rippling muscles the entire time, because they went in on the animation for him just taking off the tie. Like, it was such a badass scene, but also it is getting thirsty. Like, they didn't quite hold back on making him just full on like protector energy the entire time. Like, it's Uzui level of, oh, they're just going for it at this point, aren't they?
Sure. I feel like they took the muscular design of Panda and just put Nanami's skin over it.
Because he did not look like this previously. Like,
Yeah.
he looked
I was looking
generally
at it,
fit before, whereas now he's buff.
I was like, they took this from somewhere. Like, which design did they duplicate? You know, like the old Disney animation stuff from like the 70s
Oh
and
yeah,
80s, where it's like you line it up and they show how they like reuse stuff. I was just like, they definitely took this from like Panda or something. But yes, that
you're
was
talking like
incredible.
Gorilla Panda, not
Yes,
Panda
hundred
Panda,
percent,
right?
100%. The
I
fact
was
that I have to emphasize that when we're talking about muscles.
it makes I was getting like JoJo's vibes for sure, of like just these overly done physiques.
But I've made it clear that I have my problems with Mappa and not being consistent in the animations that they use. And the first time that we saw Mei Mei in the tunnel, I was like, where the fuck did the animation budget go for this scene?
When
Especially
Wee
when
Wee
Wee
was
Wee
in
was
the back, like
clapping, it was just like,
Wee.
what the heck? Like, her walking made no sense whatsoever. It
No,
just looked really sloppy. It looked really bad. His clapping was just awful. And one thing I've noticed that Mappa's been really consistently bad at is lining up their sound with their movements. So
yes,
like the steps, like when the foot touch, like you didn't hear the click at that part. When the hands clap, like you don't hear it at that part. Like it's clap, 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 but his hands are doing this, and it's like, what the like? No, that doesn't make any sense. So I was like, where the fuck did the budget for this season, like for this one particular scene, go? And then Nanami comes in all jacked up with that detail. I was like, oh, found it.
here it is. I am going to save my thoughts on the animation until the end of this episode, because I think it's a very pertinent conversation, but I don't want to entirely derail us while we talk about how great this
Okay, we'll
episode
stick
was.
with anime deliberate till then.
Yeah, no, there's I didn't I didn't prep you for what I have to say on that,
You
but
never do.
if you don't, well, but like it's kind of some big news that came out like this week, kind of stuff. So it's a whole other part of the conversation. But I do agree there was a lot of ups and downs, but the Nanami scene was just so good. It was so intense, and like I understood
Are
a
we talking
little
about the
bit.
NDA stuff?
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
do know
like
what you're talking
that's yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, he went from like, this guy's fun and interesting, to now I see why all the manga fans have been clamoring for this character to have all the screen time that he's getting in this moment, because it is awesome and just so much fun. And we didn't even get a refresher on his powers. It was just straight, no, we're diving in and letting him pop off.
Yeah, because the
So,
tie is his stronger one. He tries to get everything with his blunt knife first.
which we didn't even see.
Yeah,
Like, it was
well, I mean,
just
it
on
was
his
on his
back.
back. Like we
Yeah.
saw it, but we didn't see it in action. So the fact that he was like,
Oh,
"I don't have the time for this." Did they
no,
confirm that that supervisor is alive though?
no, I think he's dead.
Okay, because the way the girls were talking about it made it sound like he survived.
I mean, our synopsis It does say our synopsis says escorts him to safety, so there's a chance. But I feel like that was the whole.
No,
So
that's
that was
taking Ino to safety.
no. He took Nanami discovers Ichichi's bloody body and escorts him to safety.
Oh, okay. So I think he survived. The way they described it made
Eno
it sound like he
also
survived.
possibly was. Yeah, I'm not totally sure because he also had the mention of like I found the bodies of several dead assistant supervisors on the way here. I'm assuming that was you, but maybe just because Ichichi is like a main assistant supervisor that he survived it. I'm not totally sure, but that does lead into I don't know if you caught it. I don't know how many people caught it. Absolutely amazing sprinkle of here's what Nanami's motivations are in this episode was when during the cold open, did you catch that like they panned over Ichichi's body and there was a flash frame of something else there? I'm gonna go with no by the stunned silence. Basically, it was they showed his bloody face down on the pavement, and they did a quick like maybe 2-3 frame cut to the face of the student from the first 5 episodes that died and made Gedo become evil, basically. Like that being his last straw, we can't forget that was Nanami's partner. So the fact that he is seeing his old partner's face on these assistant supervisors goes way into this is his motivation. He does not want to see anyone else die. Like we talked about Gojo being willing to sacrifice lives. I have this feeling that Nanami is just straight up, I do not want to lose another
Yeah.
person and I'm going to go buck wild. And that's why he just literally kicked down a glass door and walked through it to be like, no one else is going to die while I am here. And I think that was an awesome, awesome way to just remind us that this man cares and is honestly probably a better person than Gojo, which is
Yeah.
like so weird to say about a main character.
What is funny is that like I remember the flash. I don't remember that scene happening, but with you talking about how much the manga readers have been clamoring to see him, like that scene started playing in my head as you said that. So when you asked, "Do I know which scene you're talking about?" Like that did pop in my head. So it
Okay.
wasn't even big, or maybe like in my subconscious I did see it, but it's like the build up for like everything else you mentioned go up to it's like, did that actually happen? And then you said it, and I was
Yes.
like, oh, okay, I guess that did happen.
Yeah, it did happen. It was super cool. And it's also just like, I wondered why did Nanami show up for 30 seconds of the like prequel episodes? Like he didn't actually do anything, but there was just that moment of, hey, Nanami's here.
Well, it was the same
This
of
is
Mei being
why.
in the first episode too, to show
Yeah.
that it's that like they did such a good job of like, and that was my complaint, right? I was like, if you're gonna spend this much time doing stuff I don't care about, it better come to fruition in the future. Do not add all this shit for no reason in these first 5 episodes. So now it's like, okay, thank you. You're actually putting these things where I need them to be.
And but that's why I have to give them so much credit because they're doing it in such a like way cooler ways than we imagined. We were just like, oh, the obvious like big bad guy is going to come back and
Well,
not be
that's what
reincarnated,
That's
and
why either
instead
these
we're getting all
episodes
these
need to be.
things.
This is why either these episodes need to be longer, or you just like wait for the binge, which I hate to say because I like watching stuff on a weekly basis and giving something to look forward to. But it's like early on they weren't doing enough to like entice me, right? And
Right.
we started doing these end of August.
And it's
We're in the
October
middle
now.
of October. That's a long payoff.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really long payoff for people who are actually paying attention to all of the details, right?
Well, that's why
So
they're
it's like
listening to
for the
us.
casual watcher that doesn't listen to us, what's wrong with you? You can't even answer that question because you're not listening to us. And is
We're
watching
so
like
petty.
how do you tell someone you should watch Jujutsu Kaisen week by week, right?
Right.
Our co-host Jay Scotty is a perfect example of this. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna watch that every week. And it's like, oh, cool. Like you have other things for work, you have life, this and that. We do this as a hobby, but like we couldn't entice him to watch it on a weekly basis. Did those first 5 episodes give us anything to be like, dude, you got to watch this every week? You're missing out, like we
Yeah.
would have for Demon Slayer or My
Yeah.
Hero
No,
Academia.
it's very true because like my partner in the other room right now has not watched past the first 5 episodes or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Partially because I have to watch them without her so that we can record the show, but like she's not going out of her way to watch them on her own time because I can't watch them with her. And that's a perfect example because her and I watch all of these things together. Like every single other show we have covered on this podcast, she sits down to watch the episode with me. And this one she has not. And I've offered, I'm like, I will rewatch them with you. I don't mind. She's still like, I don't really feel the need to. And it is a legitimate problem. And I don't know how they fix it.
Yeah. Because I don't blame people for not wanting to watch it.
Yeah, like we called, Jay Scotty to the stand here. It's not a, hey, why aren't you? It's a, no, we get it, but like, this is just what we got to do. Like, I wonder if I was not recording this show, would I also have fallen off? Like, there is that legitimacy. That's how,
because there's a few shows that we've been doing like every 3 episodes, right? Like Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And when we finished the first 5 episodes and then it started off slow again, I really wanted to send you the text of like, is this something that we do like every 3 weeks? Because
I didn't cover Harley Quinn because I fell off.
No, I'm talking about for Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, is this something else that we just like do in bulks of 3 episodes? Because I don't know if I can talk about it every week. And right now it's getting to the point where like at least it is fun for me. But the fact that it took, I want to say 10 episodes to get this far. Because I genuinely wanted to rewatch episode 11 before I got into this one, and I did. And I have my friend who's like texting me as he's watching right now, and the recent text literally just now from John is, episodes aren't long enough, dude.
Yeah, they crammed this one full, for sure.
Enough about like directing and planning. Like, let's talk about what actually did happen, because a lot of good things did happen. The one thing that I said that bothered me a little bit is that, so I make a lot of comparisons to Naruto with this, and one of the big comparisons is that this is the closest thing to Team 7 that we've had since Naruto. And the running joke is that Nobara is useful Sakura, which I disagree with in plenty of ways, but I was ready to see her in action because she left off on such a high note and she's had more time to train, and I was excited to see like what she came up with. I know we talked about like setting a standard for power levels. Bummed that she was the point of reference for that, because she has a really cool ability and she is capable of holding her own. So to see her get beat to the point that she was making like desperation swings was just kind of like, she shouldn't have gotten beaten that easy.
Yeah, it's such an interesting, because I do feel like she held her own a little bit, and it did a very good job of like showing us how good Nanami is. But I feel like, and I'm trying to look back through, I can't quite find it in our previous notes. Was she nominated to become a...
She was nominated to be promoted, but not to
grade 1?
She was nominated to be promoted, but not to grade 1.
Okay, because I was just about to say, she feels like probably the weakest of the group by a good margin at this point. Like, she doesn't feel like she should be considered in that grade 1 group. So I'm happy that she's not, from a storytelling perspective, but also...
I think she was supposed to be like nominated for 3 or something.
Yeah, just make her better, though. Like, I think she, as a character, is so fun, so well written, does not take anything from the men that she trains with. Like, she's absolutely awesome. I'm getting like, I'm almost getting Artemis vibes, like Young Justice, early Artemis, when she was trying to prove herself to like Wally and Robin in Young Justice. I'm getting those similar, like, no, she doesn't need to care about their opinions. She just is here and doing a great job of doing it. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting out of her, and I love that because, like, Young Justice is my favorite. I love all of those characters. So the fact that I can even make a comparison speaks to how much I like her as a character, but her fighting just doesn't feel like it's holding up. And again, it works from a storytelling perspective because the whole thing is there's not that many powerful sorcerers because they can barely get any anymore. Like,
but it doesn't fit the praise that her opponent was giving her. It's like, I remember you from last time. You've gotten stronger. It's like, has she? Is that what you're trying to convey to us right now?
Yeah, it's interesting
Though
because
the
I
assist that she gave to Nanami was freaking awesome. Where she called in
yeah.
the sword and swung that nail in, and Bao like, "Not today." I was like, "Okay, that's what I wanted to see more of.
Mm-hmm.
That confidence,
Oh,
that precision, like that use of your technique. Love that.
but the
More of that, please."
response, read the room, like
Yeah,
she was helping. It was so good. And it is unfortunate though because she did hold her own for a moment and then just got
yeah.
completely blown out of the water once she like almost passed out from that sword. Like it was really difficult because now that you say like, "Oh, you're better since the last time I've seen you," I feel like that fight scene during the sister exams was way better of a fight scene than this one was. Like she had a better showing. So who knows? It feels like they're sidelining her now that Nanami has said like I'm at the minimum grade, which is a badass line, but does it feels bad for all of these other characters that I feel like are just not going to get screen time. Like we haven't seen Panda. It feels like Megumi might be out now that he's taking back. Like
I have my
there,
theory for that.
I hope it's the same thing that I want to see because there's one singular thing that we need to see out of Megumi with the remainder of the season.
Yeah, because Itadori is dealing with Choso now. So if Megumi's on
Oh,
the
right, he's
street
got him.
trying to get Ino
Yup,
out, and his dad has the order kill all sorcerers, and he's the only one running through the street in the bubble, 2 for 1. I think
yep.
that face off is coming. I think everyone's
It
getting
better.
like a one-on-one face off now. I
It
think Mei Mei is going to be
really
fighting the deity. I think Yuji's going to be fighting Choso. I think the two Zenins are going to work together.
Nanami Geto. Is that who Nanami's gonna take down?
Nagito, maybe. Because she's
Ooh.
going to go help out Mei Mei too, right? Yeah?
I'm just saying, like, Nanami's got to have somebody, and his best friend Gojo is currently trapped in a box. So who's gonna get him out?
Tsunogeto's line was really nice too. It's like, if you can deal with the special grade, then you can come fight me.
Which, like, let's talk about that curse for a moment. I feel like we have seen nothing. I mean, we haven't heard the word curse deity before, but that thing just immediately showed that it was a menacing presence. Like, I'm not 100% concerned that Mei Mei is going to be okay, especially the fact that Wee Wee is like right there.
I hate those names so much.
It's so funny. Every time we say it, I'm like, it's childish, but I'm stifling the chuckle. But
Okay,
yeah,
so the smallpox deity is one of the special grades.
I mean, it's
I
got
think
to
there's
be.
17.
Why are there so many? Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, curse spirits.
But yeah, there's a lot that we've gone over. We jocked it. There you go. There's my first Freudian of the night. The Toji scene.
Nobara is a grade 3.
Nobara is a great thing. Very good. So yeah, I think she's got room to grow. I hope that there's a lot of room for that to show itself, especially with Mei Mei around. Like, I feel like she could be a real good asset for her to learn from, with that little monologue at the beginning of like how her power wasn't that great. She had to learn and grow. Like, all right, now take Nobara under your wing. Let's see what she can do. Oh, Toji, that's what I wanted to talk about. That was an audible gasp moment. I think it was the only moment in this episode that got a like big reaction out of me, and it was that silent just sprint across the air pad to take out the grandma. Like, I was waiting for the shockwave noise or anything. It was the fact that they made no sound and just did it. I was
It
like,
was like
oh,
a little like
oh no.
thwing type of thing, but
It was
it's a,
absolutely terrifying. Like, Toji, already scary character. And then you do that and remind us, like, it's gonna go down. It's gonna be terrifying. I love that we're not gonna have this personality battle of like he's kind of back, but the grandson is taking over. No, it just seems like Toji is back and ready to go.
yeah, that family lineage is just done now.
Oh yeah, it cut off at the source.
Rip. You said kill all the sorcerers. God, that line. And I thought that was going to be the highlight of it until Nanami started doing his thing.
Yeah, no, it was that was barely a footnote. Like it happened. It was the little thing. I thought we were gonna get more Toji, and then we cut to Nanami, and it was like, oh no, no, this is better. This is neat.
Oh, also Nanami's the visual for his technique when he punched the dude in the face, how it like cut to that for a
That
split
was
second.
another flash screen. Yes, again, they didn't bother to explain the whole what is it 7/10, but it was
No,
still
it's like just trust your
mm,
audience to understand what you've already tried to explain. Little
yeah,
moments like that, you don't want to waste time. It's just I get that.
and they didn't, and it worked, and I was here for it because I was waiting for him to pull out the knife, and I was like, nope, he's got it with the tie. So good,
So
so
good.
good
Yeah, Nanami and Toji are definitely stealing this show.
for sure. All right, this episode was awesome, but I think that's it until we get to watch all of these fights that they're setting up the chess pieces so well for it to just be fight scene after fight scene after fight scene. So I'm ready.
Any timestamp stuff that
Oh yes,
we need to establish? But I know 9:40 was the time for today.
so they're doing a very good job of making the timestamps not really matter. Like if you're not paying attention to them, it's not affecting. The long and short of it is most of what we were seeing was happening like at the same time.
Okay.
So basically, we started the episode at 10:02 was when Mei Mei takes down that like frog hat curse user that we saw previously. That was at the same time as last episode, wherein the fight with Itadori and all of the veil holders started. So like it was literally she defeated that guy before they even started fighting on the surface. It's kind of what that was. And then it jumped back. So I said all that was at 10 o'clock. At 9:45 was when Nanami found the assistant's body. We go back to 10:05, which the entirety of the fight apparently took 5 minutes because now it's Itadori canceled out the veil. He crushed that in his hand. So back at 10 o'clock. And then we go again back to 9:40. That was when Nobara first got to the curse user guy that with the hand sword. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, basically that was when that confrontation happened. And then we go all the way back to 10:10 was when Itadori enters the station and is confronted by Choso. So really it's just saying everything that we have seen happened in the span of 20 to 30 minutes from the veils and all of the other stuff. So yeah, it's like
Bad.
I don't think it necessarily
About the
mattered.
length
Like,
of an average anime episode.
yeah, if it happened one to one to one, okay, they could have happened back to back, but it's just telling you, hey, these things are happening congruently. But yeah, that's really all that's happening. I started marking down like here's what episode each thing happens in because it's crazy to think, okay, it is 10:10. He's coming face to face with Choso. The whole thing started at 8:30 was when Gojo entered the veil. So this has just been like how many 10 episodes is a 2-hour chunk of time? Like that's crazy cool to me.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that's the end of the episode. I feel like we should address the teased elephant in the room when it comes to Mappa's animation style.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have too much for it, but if you want to give the rundown and
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much for it. I just think it is a relevant thing for all the listeners to know about if you didn't already know about this.
unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Essentially, what has happened, what has come to light apparently, is Mappa has basically been forcing their animators to work 12 to 14 plus hour days to get all of these anime in the form of Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all of these shows out that they're attempting to get. There's even reports of some of the animators sleeping overnight. It just seems like a really unfortunate situation, and the reason we haven't heard about this previously is apparently they were having their staff sign NDAs before signing on to you're going to work on whatever show's coming up. They would sign an NDA that basically was like, yeah, you can't talk about the working conditions, you can't talk about what we're having you do or anything like that. And it's gotten so bad that people are breaking these NDAs in order to speak out about what's happening. So it's really just a big unfortunate situation, and that's part of why we wanted to bring it to light, just to kind of talk about any time that Zuhair or myself mentions, hey, these animated things aren't lining up or stuff. We are not by any means attacking the animators. They are doing their best work. It's the direction and budget that they are being given by the actual studio that we're kind of calling into question when those things come up. Because
Yeah, we're definitely looking at it as artists, not
yeah,
technicians.
because that's the one thing I can't draw for the life of me. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I could do any of this better than even the lowest level animators are doing, let alone Mappa being the bigwigs that they are. So it's really just wanted to bring it to light, wanted to mention it, wanted to say we stand in solidarity with these animators. Pay them as much as they need to be paid to live their lives and make sure that they actually have those lives to live, that they are not locked in a studio for days on end just to get this content out. Because as much as I love being able to talk about 26 episodes, give us, or 24 episodes, regardless, give us 3 chunks of 8 over the course of the year, or slow it down. Like, we yell at Attack on Titan all the time for how long they have taken to draw this out. No pun intended, being animated. But, like, we know that they have to take this long. We're just upset at the format that they've taken of, like, here's a little 1 hour chunk to tide you over. Like, give it to me all at the end when it's ready to go. Like, our complaint is never the speed at which these things come out. Please, if someone out there is listening for some strange reason that has control of this or could say it, Mappa, we do not care. Please take care of these people. We've talked plenty about the Hollywood and writer strikes and actor strikes. We stand in solidarity with all of these people who are artists. I'm sitting here staring at one of my best friends who is an artist, and I would never want him to go through these things, and I feel the same way for all of the people in these groups. So it's just, yeah, a big thing that we don't care. We want to enjoy it, and we hope that by bringing light to these things, we can make enough money to stop these things, get the attention that it needs. Yeah.
Yeah, early, well, even before the writer strike stuff, there's times where, because Mappa's been doing so much, we joke, it's like, where do they have the time to do this? Hope they're paying their people enough. And for somebody who went to school with a bunch of animators and animation department, like, even as students, like, I saw the stuff that they went through, and then hearing the stuff about, like, what's expected of them in the industry. It's not easy, it's not light. It's outright disrespectful, honestly, for the people that you need to make this stuff happen. So then when the
Seriously.
writer strike stuff started happening, I remember on one of the news episodes we said, like, how long until this hits the animators when they realize that they can start speaking out on stuff like this. And obviously, as content consumers, we're like, we hope it doesn't happen and they figure it out because we want our stuff and this and that. But at the same time, it's like, people want to, it's very difficult for people to make their livelihoods out of their art, and a lot of people would give up whatever to do that. So obviously these corporations, like, take advantage of situations like that, where it's like, well, there's a bunch of people who lined up who were ready to do this, like, you have a great opportunity. They hold that over your head, right? So it's like, you
Yeah.
feel like you have to give in to what's ideally, not ideally, what is unacceptable environments. And it's tough. Obviously, we try to look at, when we give our reviews, we're looking as content consumers, we're looking as people who appreciate the animation form, because as we know, it's already something that is very underrated. We talk about it because people look at it as something that's only for kids, when in line it really is pressing a sense of imagination that we couldn't even pretend to have, right?
Oh, of
So there's so
course.
much beautiful to this. There's so much beauty in this, and there's so much that people deserve all the recognition for. So it's just something that we hope that they can resolve, so that we can feel good about wanting to support these people and not have to watch them struggle for content that we enjoy watching and paying for.
Yes, and I do believe currently the best way to continue to support these things is by watching them, because this is how we're going to make sure that they get the money that they deserve, or rather, at least the studio gets the money, and then hopefully they filter that down to the correct people.
And if they don't, then maybe those animators will speak out a lot more, and then they can figure something out, which I hope it doesn't come to that, but...
Because I think that's the biggest thing, is, like we said, we have made those jokes previously. None of us knew these NDAs existed. We kind of just assumed, oh, they're actually making sure that this is not a problem in Japan, because this is where all of these animators are, because the only reason we haven't...
thinking that at all.
Well, yeah, the only reason we haven't heard about anything in the US is because the Animators Guild of America is different than the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild, and their contract is not up until, I think it's 2025. So I would not be surprised if all of these conversations are coming back around full circle again in a couple of years, when the Animators Guild's contract goes up and they go for negotiations, because living out here and seeing some of it firsthand is the wildest thing. But yeah, I wanted to bring light to this. Hopefully this didn't drag down the back half of the episode, and reminds you that even if we were incredibly silly at the top, we do try and keep this a professional art form. Yeah, I can't say professional.
We get
about
the
the
point
show.
out.
Yeah, we get the point out. We do really care about what we do. That's why we're here. We're avid fans that want to spread our wealth, our knowledge. I hope this is a great monologue that you can send to people who are curious about what our show is, because we do care so much.
Yes.
And with that exhausting rant, I'm going to say that is all for me.
I'm so tired now.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Tired. There's so much editing to still do before I get ready for tomorrow. Good
Not
Lord.
editing of this show, listeners. This is just his day job that he still has to do. Luckily, we now have AI editor, and again, we don't edit out our flubs. So
still some work I have to do after this.
Well, yeah, some, but it's far less than I feel like we used to try to put in.
It's more than I want to do at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's true. East Coast time is late time. I gotta get.
Which is why you typically get these on like Friday or Saturday when I'm doing this, because by the time I finish day job, I'm just like, I don't want to look at my screen anymore.
So you should definitely, if you want to help this tired photographer sitting across from me, that is one of the many artists that we want to support. The best way that you could do that is by leaving a review. A 5-star rating and review is the single best way that you could support any podcast that you listen to, not just ours. It really helps the algorithm. It helps other people find us. And as I like to say, it is 100% free. It just takes you going in to your app of choice, putting down that rating and review that we hope we have deserved, and just letting people know about all of that. We also have all of our social medias, which is a great way to find us. And although it doesn't necessarily bring us any sort of show love, sending in emails at animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com. We do love to hear from you. It brings us happiness, even if it does not bring us anything more than that, because we do love seeing those emails come through. Immediately when one of us sees it, we put it in our group chat. It is a great time. So if you do have any thoughts about how this show is going, if you just want to share anything that you say, if you find Zuhair's remarks at the top clever, because we actually had a conversation today that we have no idea if anyone even enjoys those cold opens, or if anyone gets the jokes that we're making when we do them, we're happy to listen to, hear all of those. And honestly, if you've listened to this much of the rambling of the podcast, great job, because we are like nearing the end and you haven't decided to jump to another show while you're getting ready for our little stuff at the end to happen. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and Zuhair's. But not only is he on this show, Zuhair, is there anything else that you would like to tell the people about that you have going on?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys about, just give some love to the friends of the show, 323 with Reed Murphy, Peeves Gadfest, and everything on strandedpanda.com. They support the hell out of us. We support the hell out of them. I show up on a lot of those shows, so it'd be nice if you just got on their social medias too and gave them a look to find out when I pop up on their things. So with that, be sure to tune in next time. That's TOONIN, and as always, stay whelmed.
And until we have another cold open to come up with, muscle.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/spchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.